And literally once I looked into it, he got done with a day at like divorce court and came in and wrote the song.
Oh, so it's literally what you said.
Yes. Because he's like going through like the attorney's fees. There's like, why do I have to pay attorney's fees is one of the lyrics in this song.
Oh no. No.
That's what I mean. This is very specific. Buddy. This is so specific. It's my brain.
Can't unhear it.
This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum.
Oh, Moe's Tavern. Welcome to Backwards Beats Podcast. I'm Carl Carter Fansteel.
And I'm Dan Woodard.
So nice to have you on this beautiful, enchanting first fall Wednesday of the season here in 2024.
It's nice being had.
And man, do we have a treat for you. Said no one ever. Ouch. I promised I wouldn't foreshadow. However, we are both... How would you describe it, Dan?
Perplexed.
We've been putting off recording this for about 45 minutes now.
Yeah, this is going to be a struggle.
And not because we don't know what to do. I mean, at the most distracted and hungover and technically challenged, we have a format we can follow. We know what our job is at this point. We could BS you a quick 50 to 60 minute episode and get through this if we needed to.
Right.
This one's chewy for a reason, though. And though we've been talking about it, which we generally don't talk much about the albums beforehand, we've been talking for a good, like I said, half hour, 45 minutes. Not in detail, but just over our emotion right now.
Yeah, and you said that we could do this, drunk or hungover. We are not.
Yeah.
But we are accompanied right now with some Basil Hayden, a little bit of tequila, and some sketchy looking pumpkin beers.
Have you seen the thicker treat? Look at that.
Yes.
The artwork's fantastic.
The artwork is fantastic.
I pretty much emptied out the fridge, put it in the desk, and said, we're going to get through this come hell or high water.
We will get through this. So what are we talking about today, my friend?
Episode 8 of our podcast, otherwise known as number 492 on Rolling Stone's top 500 list, as stated in 2023, is none other than Marvin Gaye. And the album Here, My Dear.
Marvin Gaye, an absolute legend.
Absolutely. A respectable legend at that.
There's so many songs of his that I absolutely adore.
And if you look at what Spotify has to offer on his catalog, the amount of scrolling I had to do in his discography just to get down to this album highlights the gems of his career, right? It's deluxe version after compilation, after live album, after best of album, where you're constantly reminded about how wonderful Marvin Gaye is. And I mean this wholeheartedly. Absolutely.
He's still, to this day, 267th in the world on Spotify streaming.
Not surprised at all.
Given the longevity of his career, with 22 million monthly listeners still jamming out to some of his incredible music.
Yeah. Songwriter, personality, as a accompanist or duo partner. I mean, entire album with Tammy, it's just we're painting this because we want you to know how much we appreciate Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, let's like some highlights. Sexual Healing.
Let's get it on.
Heard it through the grapevine.
yeah, I mean, there's an unlimited catalog of really, really great Marvin Gaye songs that absolutely break the bank here. But this album is just not it. So I'm not the researcher of the group traditionally, but the rumor is that I read as researching was this album, which you brought to light was his 15th, was essentially written to pay off alimony and divorce fees.
Yeah, this album chronicles his very acrimonious divorce. That as a part of the settlement, he agreed to give away the royalties on his next album.
So it's kind of funny, that he throws together this album that, as you could probably tell by the spirit, we're not terribly fond of. Though it seems like he took it very seriously.
Well, a quote I read of his at first is, why should I break my neck when Anna, his ex-wife,
Gordy.
Yeah.
Barry Gordy's daughter.
Correct.
Crazy.
Yeah. She's going to wind up with the money anyway. But then this album became a very cathartic, I would say, probably album for him. Because to shed his soul is an understatement for the excruciating level of detail that we get about the proceedings of his marriage and his divorce to this woman.
It's a love letter in sense.
With excruciating detail.
This is an album with excruciating detail.
I mean, he gets into specific conversations and like this is he has a lot of feelings.
It's
that he's expressing
a
on this
therapy session and conversation, like the conversational tone he keeps throughout. He literally speaks over everything in this album.
And even sometimes when he's not speaking, the singing are just full sentences.
Yeah.
With like commas and punctuation and then prepositions. It's like tone poems, tone poems that are going on.
Oh, geez.
Ooh, we're starting hot. Okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
No. This is what we need to be. Because look, if you're listening along with us, you're probably feeling the same way. No one's coming to his defense anytime soon to be like, that was a masterpiece album. Which leads us to beg the question, Rolling Stone.
Huh?
We're not dumb. We don't look ahead. We don't know that there will be Marvin Gaye on the rest of this list. But like, guys,
we know.
There's going to be Marvin Gaye on the rest of this list.
Yeah, what's going on? If this album is on the list, what's going on has to be on the list.
Like top 100-ish. Easy, right?
Yeah.
So with that said, like, he already got his gold star. There wasn't another artist. There wasn't in the 500 realm, probably 450 after repeats that we're going to see, you could have given a spot to.
And here's the tough thing about not looking ahead, right? Like, I've never tried to compile a 500 album list, but I could name artists easily that I'm sure are not on this list.
Who deserve a slot, a look, a little
right. Or maybe they're not the 500 best albums, but I will listen to day and night
over this.
And we don't usually get this, we don't start off this way. So we're on a struggle bus here because we're in no way wanting to
diminish his contribution
and the amazing music he's written.
Agreed entirely. We're just kind of scratching our heads going, this?
Yeah. Like, how do we record this and not like at episode 8, like get canceled for the rest of our, podcast?
Sure.
Because we're going to be honest.
Agreed. And we had to have that talk before this. Like, Oh God, are we going to be the guys who like kind of crap on a Marvin Gaye album right now? I take no joy in this.
No.
When with that said, if you are seriously doubting our intentions right now, I encourage you, pause this and go pop on this album and listen to it. I listened to it 4 times. And by listen, Dan, I won't lie. I maybe actively got out 2. It's so long, and the songs are so long.
Yes, this is a double album.
Indeed. It didn't need to be a double feature of 2 songs, frankly. And my God, like I spaced out, you know? You could do laundry to this, I suppose.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, the initial reception of this album, it was a flop. It was a commercial failure.
Yeah. You said he went into exile?
Yeah. So the album did not, succeed at all. Critics called it bizarre and uncommercial. And the lack of success, basically, he really got upset to the point where he refused to promote it anymore. Motown stopped promoting this in 1979, at which point Marvin Gaye had gone into exile, self-imposed exile. And also at this time, so since we know what we don't know, but we believe that Marvin Gaye is going to be on this podcast, there's a lot of his life that we should probably discuss.
Take into account at least, respect.
Right, because the man did not have an easy life in many regards.
Not by any means, till the last breath. I mean, really,
including the last breath.
A hard story across the board.
Yeah.
Which makes this all more tragic, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, this album, this is about the divorce of his first wife, Anna Gordy. But in this time frame, he actually had married again. That marriage was falling apart. They separated around sometime in 1979. And actually, upon hearing this album, Anna Gordy considered suing Marvin Gaye for an invasion of privacy.
Oh, God.
Because, like I said, there's excruciating detail in this album.
That's wild.
She backed down.
I'd say she had the resources to do it, too.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he must have felt so sick.
So the reverence for this album comes posthumously. I don't know if it comes after his death posthumously, but it was not well received initially.
Yeah. Some Van Gogh stuff right there.
Yeah.
Any other large T liner notes here we want to talk about in kind of the macro front before we break down some songs?
So just so that we come across or that we are clear about some of the feelings around this album up front, after the deal was made to make this record and he agreed, all right, I'm going to make this record, and actually decided to give it a shot, right? He went to the studio, and he doesn't normally write the lyrics necessarily for all of his songs, but he basically improvised these things. So he went into the studio and on the spot and composed and pre-recorded, and the quote is, mumbling over pre-recorded tracks or to his own accompaniment. And the mumblings were, they referred to as embryonic melodies.
Okay.
Right? Which
I love that, by the way, like back in the day in the 70s, you could just have like total bullshit and be like, no. It's embryonic.
Right.
I'm sensing my inner spirit. Nowadays, you just get called out for that stuff, right?
Yeah. Then they eventually evolved into the lyrics that we hear after about 3 or 4 takes, they said. And then he ended up playing all of the keyboard parts on this record.
For better or for worse.
And basically saying, I didn't plan it that way, but it just turned out to be more of a hands-on project. And as we said, this was definitely a therapy session for him, and definitely a letter to his ex-wife.
Yeah. Well, if that doesn't set the tone, I don't know what will. We're going to pour ourselves a stiff drink, and we'll be right back. after a breath and a sip of whiskey, we decided a small disclosure here.
Well, let's not write it off. That's not just whiskey we had.
Oh, it's Basil Hayden.
Basil Hayden. It's proper whiskey.
Sponsor for today. We'd like to thank the folks at Basil Hayden. Next time you're considering a non-mixed cocktail or a lightly mixed cocktail, please look at the ironclad bottle of Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Basil Hayden. Sponsor us.
That was fantastic.
Thanks, brother. They can't reverse sue me for that, can they?
No, we just gave them free advertising.
There you go. Get at us, Basil Hayden. So, I don't know a ton about his life. However, we feel like we need to bring up the fact for those who are new to Marvin Gaye. He did not have an easy run through his childhood and frankly through his entire life. I mean, this is a tortured man writing the album that we are unfortunately lamenting on.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a victim of some pretty bad abuse from his father, had a horrible relationship with him. And we're kind of looking at this since this is a mid to late career album for him. And we're, like I said, we're pretty sure we're going to talk about him again. We're not going to go big into the backstory on him right now, because
you can go listen to Disgraceland if you want to hear that one.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has an episode on him.
Yeah. And so, but it's important to know that when we walk into this album, not only is he going through a horrible divorce, he definitely struggled with cocaine and other drugs throughout, his life. We are talking about a tortured person walking into this. So even though we may have some opinions about the quality of the music that we had to listen to here, this is definitely an album that I think was very important to him.
Yeah.
To probably actually survive this divorce.
Indeed. This was his version, I suspect, of just going to work to have something else to focus on.
Yeah. It's I just lost the name of the album. Phil Collins' first album, right? It was his divorce album. In the Air Tonight was his divorce song, which everyone thought was about a drowning, but it actually was a song about his divorce with his wife. Right? That was his divorce album. Arguably a better album, but
a little.
Is it About Face? Is that the first album?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think that's Phil first Collins album is About Face. Pretty positive. And In the Air of the Night, classic song.
Resurrected
torturous.
by the Hangover.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike Tyson.
Yep. Or The Drumming Gorilla.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, this album wasn't written for you and I. This was written, he wrote this to get it off his chest. That's evident as you listen song to song to song. And he also wrote it, as we mentioned, because there was a monetary issue here. He was having financial issues. It's hard to believe, that Marvin Gaye, 15 albums in, is having financial issues.
Right.
Especially
with the classics he's had.
The guy owns rights on rights. Furthermore,
right.
You end up with, he was in a marriage with Berry Gordy's daughter.
Right.
So there's money on both sides here. And, unless it was really, really bad at home, they're not going for each other's throat monetarily, you'd think. However, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Correct. And yes. And it's not a cheap habit.
Negative. And I don't think the lifestyle that comes with it is necessarily easy to run with either. Yeah.
And when you say that you think it's obvious that this album is for his wife, the first lyric of the first song on this album is, I guess I have to say this album is dedicated to you.
Yeah. He considers it a gift to her, is what I read.
Yeah.
Which is a little demented because
it's not that flattering of her many times.
Oh, I rarely. And furthermore, it's the idea that I'm giving you this 70-minute album as a gift. It's a little controlling, actually.
It is, but maybe he's thinking that, well, I'm Marvin Gaye. I'm going to make a ton of money on this album, so here's a ton of money.
He needed to give her that money. So
yeah,
the whole thing.
That relationship, as is recounted in excruciating detail here, apparently there's some domestic abuse problems going on in this relationship.
It feels a little gross across the board, doesn't it?
Yeah. This is very voyeuristic.
Indeed. So you jumping into the first tune here. Title track.
I was trying to segue, man.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Was I there?
Yeah.
I caught it.
Yeah,
I was sick.
you caught it, yeah.
So you're jumping into, Here My Dear, the title track of the album.
Correct.
And I typically have my Spotify list up so we can peek at the modern day plays, which I think is pretty crucial for me because you can kind of see how it's reflected in, our times here. So as I scroll to it though, this is his gift to Anna, and he does a ton of talking on it. It's sing talking, right?
Yeah. But not. We've talked about this before. It's not Sprechstung though.
No, not at all. Coming in at 2 minutes and 48 seconds. One of the shortest songs on this album. In fact, the shortest, with the exception of song 14, and 1.5 million listens. That's a weak ass number for a Marvin Gaye album. Your number one, right? The first song.
Correct. Like I said before, I don't know if I said the numbers. Maybe we were talking about it. Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Classic song of his. 1.4 billion.
Billions and billions.
Yeah, streams, right?
Unreal.
So this is a mosquito fart in a hurricane compared to that.
Oh, bad time joke.
Yeah, but by the time the listeners hear this, they won't know what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say January isn't hurricane season.
No, it's not at all.
I guess February at this point.
Yep.
Notable lyric from this song. This is what you wanted, right? I hope you enjoy it because it's all for you. He's laying on some real guilt there.
Yeah, my notable lyric is, you don't have the right to use a son of mine to keep me in line.
Oof. Yeah, they're having a hard time, aren't they?
Yeah, the things aren't great.
Yeah. The song itself is insanely subdued. I couldn't tell you a musical feature in this song that matters to me besides the fact that it's in the key of D minor.
And it's 6/8.
Yeah.
Which is important. And the reason I think it's important is, let me ask you this. So the first time I listened to this album, I had my AirPods in, I was actually grocery shopping, and I actually thought I was getting bleed through from the music playing overhead because the mix on this album is bizarre at best in many cases. And I'll say it now, I feel like this album feels like a karaoke album, meaning there's a band playing and Marvin Gaye is singing many times.
Sure.
And whether they're thinking about the same stuff at the same time, I mean, all the music's in time and in tempo and all that, it's not that, but like the way it's mixed.
The arrangement was not written accommodating a vocal. The vocal was not written to fit the arrangement. It's just...
Yeah. I'm assuming it's all overdubbed because...
Well, the band's just grooving. And you know that because like these guys are like playing on every pedal they have or clav effect they have or every flanger they have. Yeah. Things are hard pan. It's so weird because last episode you caught me just like railing on the wall of sound, right? Mm-hmm. This is like this is the driest version. This is the tampon of sound. Like it is like the most muted 70s. Are we gonna get demonetized now? Dan's like doubled over. What I'm saying here is like we're almost in 1980 at this point, but he's still riding that same Marvin Gaye sounding groove production that he became famous on, 10 years plus prior. I'm not wrong.
The Beatles have already recorded Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah, like you're allowed to do acid sounds now.
Or actually have production.
Yeah, and by the way, and synth is fully in. Like you can abandon the clavinet now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's synth on this.
Oh no,
there's definitely some saw waves that start.
There are, but it's like experimental first Herbie Hancock's My First Sound Package stuff. It's not like he had the tools to write something fun and new and expressive.
Yeah,
and he checked, in my opinion, down. You hear it on the first song. Mm-hmm. He checked down to the same style. If you listen to his other works, it's very familiar.
Yeah, and there's a band that's playing.
They're all very talented.
There are some like really good grooves that are occurring sometimes buried way back in the mix. Sometimes you can barely even tell that it's happening. And let me ask you this. So Spotify, when I listened to this on Spotify, I didn't buy this.
That's me
thank
too,
God.
yeah.
And so I do have the setting turned on. So when songs go together, they go together.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't always work. This song just stops. So when that doesn't happen, the first, like, I listened to some, I think 5 times. 71 minutes.
Ugh.
5 times. So I listened to something 5 times, and the first like 3 times the song just stops, and then there's like a pause, and then another song starts. And today was the first time I heard it blend together. So the reason I mentioned 6/8 being important, the first song is in 6/8, the second song is in 6/8,
is in 6/8.
in
It's
a
not a ballad.
drastically different tempo. So even with the seamless merge from song 1 to song 2, there's like this like here's a 2 count to get into this new 6/8. So it's still weird even with the blend, but it's so weird because I'm like, oh, I thought I lost my connection the first couple times I listened to it. I'm like, oh, the song just stopped.
For you non-music counters out there, 6/8 is a time signature you constantly hear in ballads, and it has this nice little amble swing to it. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's always indicative of heavily emotional songs. It's typically considered a slower pace or a slow dance song, right?
Yep.
And yeah, when you have that time signature, you kind of know what you're getting into content-wise.
Yeah, there's a lot of doo-wop that does that. And
Oh yeah, like go listen to the Ronettes.
right, yeah.
From last episode. Yeah, so you roll into I Met a Little Girl, right? And you're back into another ballad, but even slower.
Yeah, and this is the blow-by-blow chronicle of their marriage. Right?
Literally.
Like,
we said our vows, something like he's storytelling.
Oh, some of the lyrics are, do you take this woman to
That's right.
be your lawfully wedded wife? I do.
It's like he's seeing it in cinematic reel.
Yeah.
You know, like the old trope of like your like grandparents coming home, but like, let's look at my slides from Moldova. And you have to like go through each one.
Yeah. Like, oh, I see you took 11 pictures of that waterfall.
Cool.
You couldn't pick one, your favorite one?
And I didn't even care about your favorite one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are.
This is definitely a karaoke one for me because the harmonies, I didn't look into this. There's some background singing on this, and it feels like it's just Marvin Gaye just singing all the harmonies.
It's him later.
Right. I figured it's him
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And one could say there's like, in gospel music, when people just like have, got the feeling and there's like shouting out random stuff. There's a bit of that on here, but it feels more like musical Tourette's than I've been taken over by the Spirit.
It to me sounded like he had an idea in his head he couldn't actually perform.
Yeah. And since...
And this is a guy who's capable of performing anything, but for me, it's like there's a reservation or like a hurdle he had to get over, and it just didn't translate well.
Yeah. And one thing about... So you talk about he can perform anything, and so we've been recording these, in full transparency, we're recording these episodes a little bit in batch to get started.
Yeah, we want to have like 10 under our sleeve in case something happens or we need to take a vacation before we release.
And I'm saying that because there's been a couple episodes where we said things that might be topical, which when they come out, when we release this in 2025, and we're at the end of 2024 when we're starting these recordings, that might not make sense. But I do want to mention that it just so happened, because the universe is interesting, is that I'm sure you listened to or watched Dead Wax.
Yes.
So they just released Joey Dosick as a guest, talking about his favorite national anthem versions.
Hold on. So for those who are catching up, Dead Wax is Jack Conte, the guy who started Patreon. Mm-hmm. It's his show with Ryan Lerman, his guitar player, collaborator of a long time.
Founder of Scary Pockets.
And what's their storyteller series?
Stories, I think.
Yeah, these guys are just fantastic artists. Joey Dosick being most well known for his kind of new membership into the band Wolfpack as a multi-instrumentalist, killer singer, sax player, keyboardist, and general nice hype person.
Yep. Who has done plenty of versions of the national anthem himself.
Indeed. So I'd love to hear what you're saying with this.
So what's interesting about this is that he starts off with you should watch it. Everyone should watch it because it's really interesting. Starts off with a very considered controversial at the time,
obviously Fergie,
performance of the national anthem by Jose Feliciano. I might say his name right. It's the Basil Hayden. Jose Feliciano, who does actually a beautiful version of the national anthem, but was booed in 1968 because no one ever changed.
No,
the
you're not allowed. Yeah, you sing it.
And so there's a whole thing on the national anthem. Of course, Whitney Houston's brought up, and everyone hails her as the best. But Marvin Gaye does a version of this in 1983. And what's baller about it is he's Marvin Gaye, right? And in 1983, he's made a resurgence with songs like Sexual Healing and stuff like that. And what's baller about it is that he has a backing track, which at the time really people weren't doing. And he's kind of slow jamming the national anthem. And there's even a point where as a musician, he's like, oh, whoops, I'm late or I'm early, right? But he's so talented that he pulls it off.
He's got charisma too.
Yeah.
There's something about him where he doesn't need credentials or a resume.
Right.
You're just going to believe that whatever he did was right.
Yeah. So I'm just so excited because I think it came out yesterday, which we're recording this in October.
Yeah.
So, but
you'll be able to find it. Yeah.
Yeah. Check out Dead Wax. They have some really great deep dives, similar content. They're fantastic musicians. They go deep and they have real guests on.
We'll get real guests.
Yeah.
You'll see. We'll get some real guests.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. We were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah. So anyway,
but I didn't even know Marvin. I wouldn't have thought okay, what would his national anthem be like? Do you know what the event was he was singing it for?
I should know because I literally watched this yesterday. It was a sporting event, NBA Finals, I think.
Sports
in Detroit, maybe.
Fair enough.
I think that's what it is. I should have wrote it down, but knowing I was going to record this tonight, seeing it yesterday, the kismet was, it's perfect.
But that's awesome. Joey Dosick too. Check him out. What a talent.
And seemingly a gem of a human being.
He collaborates with everybody.
Yeah.
I think, not to get totally off of the topic of this album, but let's be frank, I'll skip through half the songs. I think national anthem is a career point. If you get asked to do national anthem at a major sporting event, that has to be a big check mark.
And Joey Dosick's done it for the Lakers.
Oh, there you go. So is Flea.
Right.
It's awesome.
Oh, all right. Total side tangent. So I log into social media for the first time in a long time and someone says, oh my God, I'm off for 48 hours and Flea's dead. Flea is not dead.
Oh, thank God.
Flea is not dead.
I almost spit my drink out.
There's another bass player named Flea from another, a punk band who did pass away. And some small, it was not a blogger, like publication.
Okay.
Put out a headline that says bass player Flea dies.
Oh, geez.
Which is it's true.
Yeah.
Just not Flea. It's like Flea
Omaha,
with
Nebraska.
a last name.
Yeah.
With a last name. I can't remember what it was. And God, talk about clickbait.
Oh yeah.
Right. And
they knew what they were doing.
Right. And as soon as I read it, it's Flea, well-known bass player, dies at age 58. I'm like, Flea's got to be in his 60s at this point.
Oh, totally.
But right. And
also there would have been a Red Hot Chili Peppers caption immediately.
Yes. There was no picture, right, until you're halfway down the scroll. So anyway, sorry.
Oh, geez. Dude, that's not good.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
Yeah. and to be transparent, I'm saying it because those of you who probably are just listening and haven't looked, we're trying to make it so every single artist we mention makes it into our show notes. And we will link to all of their Spotify and their God, the Basil Hayden's really hit me.
Yeah.
We will link to all their Spotify songs or albums so that if you never heard them, maybe you can check them out. So
Where
we're
can
putting
you find
some.
that?
What's that?
Where can you find that?
Well, it's going to be in the show notes of the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah. So you can check them out there. You'll be able to check them out on our website. And you'll also be able to
Link to our website via social media.
Yep. So we're going to have that out there. We're going to try to make the podcast have some production value. So we're working on that right now. So
Maybe some
we might name
animations.
drop just to get some more music out to you.
It'll be good, I promise.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Song number 3. When did you stop loving me? When did I stop loving you?
Okay. So
I mean, he's not even trying with these titles. He's just like, all right, next part of my story.
Yeah. And this is the first version of this song on this album, because there are 3 versions of this song on this album.
Okay.
And this is very, very specific.
How so, Daniel?
Lyrically? Oh my God. Lyrically? Things like, and this is where I feel like it's a tone poem, because he's just going off lyrically. On the
Do you have
specifics.
a favorite lyric on this one?
My favorite lyric in this song is, "How could you turn me into the police?" And he doesn't mean into the band, the police, like,
Oh, I'd love to be Stuart Copeland.
right, yeah.
Right,
Right, all right,
the accusation flies, though. That's how could you turn me into the police? Would it surprise you if I told you this is the most popular song on the album, a la Spotify?
It would, because you would be incorrect.
No, I wouldn't. At 7,903,000 listens.
Yeah, which is lower than 8 million, which is a couple songs
Oh, you beat me by 500,000. My bad.
later. There you go.
But it's up there.
Yeah. This song inspired.
Get it. I love this.
So this song inspired Daryl Hall to write "Stop Loving Me, Stop Loving You" on his 1993 solo album, Soul Alone. And so this song is weird and rambling, but there is a hook.
There is a hook. It's the first pop song. Not pop. I use that word lightly.
Yeah.
But we come off 2 ballads, right? This is the only one into the album so far. You're like, all right, if I was a DJ and someone was like, you got to play something off the new Marvin album, like, okay, like this is for consideration.
And the hook is catchy.
Totally.
And there are a couple of interesting parts of this song. There's, like I said, the song meanders through this like horrendous like divorce, right? But then there are some like other like this like chromatic like hook that repeats itself at random points.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not random, but the song is so meandering. Actually, you know what? I think to put a point on it, maybe we actually read some of the lyrics.
Oh, please do.
Should we read some of the lyrics?
Should I play the 4-chord progression behind it?
You don't need to do that.
I learned it.
Okay. So, wow.
It's easy. Well, so I was like, so there's actually redeemable qualities in here. E minor 7, A minor 7, D minor 7. It's very like Poli. It uses every minor chord that it can. And then has that beautiful like G major 7 thing going with the E. It's kind of a jam.
Yeah, musically, there's some things going on that are interesting.
I agree entirely. And I thought the chromaticism that you mentioned earlier too was a nice contrast to it. A progression that we're used to hearing, but he's not shying back from it. The song title matches the sound of the song.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get into it. So shall we have a little reading session?
Yeah,
okay.
Please.
It opens with a spoken sort of
Oh no, not on this album.
sermon.
Really?
Yes. So this part is spoken, and then it goes into music. And I want you, I don't know if you remember, to tell me when he starts singing.
Okay.
Okay? I'm just going to read them.
Let me eat crap.
Okay.
On this.
You know, when you say your marriage vows, they're supposed to be for real. I mean, well, if you think back about what you really said, about honor and loving and obeying. Now, this is actually mumbled.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Until death do us part and all. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be lies, because though it turns out to be lies, and if you don't honor what you said, you've lied to God.
Sing now.
The words should be changed. Now, as I recall, we tried 1,000,000 times, again, and again, and that isn't all. I gave my love to you each time we tried to make amends. Suddenly, I start to realize I can't make it. Pretty birds fly away. I have to leave you for my heart's sake.
Oh, God.
What to do? Make you pay for leaving me? My fine is to pay forever. So if a fresh new love comes in, I won't say those words again. Instead, I will try to love and protect you with all my heart, long as you want me to. Baby, if I love again, I'm going to try a new way this time. Memories of old things we did, some we're proud of, some we hid. Oh, there's a rhyme. So when two people have to part, sometimes it makes us stronger. Do you remember all of the pushy things? You say you love me with all your heart. If you ever loved me with all your heart, you would never take $1,000,000 to part.
Oh, my God, dude. This sounds like slam poetry in a high school.
Right. So a lot of that is sung, and you tried to point.
Was I right? I probably wasn't.
You were.
Was I within a few sentences?
Yeah, you were.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Yeah. There's an entire song happening under that word vomit.
Yeah, it's kind of a tantrum.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us into song 4 quite well. Anger.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, because this is the hit. Right?
Sorry, I got to move us through 70 minutes worth of songs.
We'll go. But I think there's something here. We talked about the chromatic stuff. So I talked about the specificity.
Okay.
And we've talked about how songs can influence people.
Yes.
Now, I've never heard this, but when I hear Flight of the Conchords.
Which song?
Jenny, like their business time.
Okay.
Right? Like, we don't make love on Wednesdays because we have to do recycling.
Yes.
Right? That specificity.
Yeah.
Like that makes me happy. I'm like, all right, I'm just listening to business time. I'm going to get through this. How long is this one? 6 minutes and 17. This version is, because there's a longer version of this song on the album. So there's that. And then anything about specificity. Can I read you one more thing?
Please.
Did you ever see the movie Meet the Parents?
Yes.
Okay. This is My Mother by Jack Burns.
Y'all in for a treat.
You gave me life. You gave me milk. You gave me courage. Your name was Angela, an angel from heaven. But you were also an angel of God, and he needed you too. I selfishly tried to hold on to you while the cancer ate away at your organs like a rebel force. And now we will meet in heaven, and I shall see you nevermore, nevermore, nevermore.
Jazz.
Yeah.
Oh, Daniel. But it's that. It's that.
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad we did it. Sue us, Warner or whoever. I don't care.
Okay.
That's fantastic. We're going to take a break.
What has Bill got other barbers have not? Cataracts in his eyes.
Come on down to Bill's, where we like to shake things up. At Bill the Blind Barber, every snip is a surprise. Bill may not be able to see, but that means he's got more time to focus on feeling his way to your perfect cut. You want to add some real excitement? Upgrade with a shave from Parkinson's Pete. You ain't never had a shave like this. There's nothing more exciting than a close shave by a guy with uncontrollable hand tremors holding a straight razor right to your throat. It's the thrill ride you never knew you needed. And hey, if you survive, your face will never feel the same. Come on down and ask for the Blind and Shaky Special. A fresh cut from Bill and a once-in-a-lifetime shave from Pete. It's an adrenaline rush, but with more hair on the floor. Bill the Blind Barber, where your haircut's a gamble, but the stories are priceless.
Oh, man. And we're back. Just wanted to acknowledge at 42-ish minutes, we're not through this song list, but we're having some fun with it at least.
Yeah, this is a double album. We're going to have to speed up some of these things, maybe gloss over.
Yeah, and there's plenty to gloss over, so we're not worried about that.
Yep.
Song number 4.
Anger. Makes you old.
Indeed. Makes you sick.
Makes you sick.
Allegedly. And then Jesus. You have to say Jesus.
You do have to say Jesus. I mean, Marvin Gaye was a very spiritual person.
Which, using the Lord's name in vain right there, probably is not the greatest call.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably on some coke binge and maybe a bender.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
My pet peeve with this song is that my almost 2-year-old son could do a better fade in than they did on this manually. I mean, he could do that while holding, an applesauce pouch in his good hand. It's like,
yeah, and I don't know what the Casio keyboard intro that's out of time.
No, that's not Anger. That's the next one.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
No, Anger has the
it has the growling.
The big weird breathy growl in it.
And as we were going, I was listening. I'm like, ooh, all right, I might be able to get on board with this song.
Well, it's got like the cool hand percussion-y space thing going on. It's very reminiscent of old Marvin Gaye. There's some good vocal layers. He's not rambling. Minor key. There's some tension.
Yep.
I mean,
that's it.
It's got the building blocks of a good song.
Yeah, I wish he had a producer who gut checked him on some of this stuff, and he didn't.
Well, another thing to talk about gut checking him on is you don't need 4 minutes of this song. It's an established groove. Like, this is a movie.
Yeah.
20-second hit and out, in my opinion. Anything else needs to be said about Anger?
Makes you old.
Jesus. Yeah. It's toxicity and self-awareness all in the same song.
Yeah. He's just, reflecting on the rage he's feeling from this, and maybe he should dial that back and be more constructive.
Almost funny. It's the whole stages of grief. He's just addressing them. I mean, there's something very literal about this work. Mm-hmm. That we're not attuned to, because frankly, the general public does not actually care. But he very much cares, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we're just kind of witnessing it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't mean to slough it off because he's going through some stuff.
Yeah, but we just don't get to feel it with him, and that's clear. Yeah. He's kind of on his own.
I have
island.
empathy for his plight. Don't want to hear the songs.
Indeed.
Yep.
Next.
Yep.
Moving into Is That Enough?
Yeah, so this to me, so I'm going to hop around in my notes on this one.
So first of all, most popular track, as I was corrected earlier, on the album by 600,000
well, actually,
songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually do, sorry.
Well, it's because, you know why? It's because half of the listens, people thought it was Jump. And then they figured out it wasn't with the synth held line, and then ditched the song.
Yeah.
What Spotify give you for that?
Right. So I'm going to hop around because when I was first listening to this, I'm like, man, this feels like he woke up thinking about the mess of everything he was going through and just had to like freestyle on it. And literally once I looked into it, he got done with a day at divorce court and came in and wrote the song.
Oh, so it's literally what you said.
Yes. Because he's going through the attorney's fees. There's why do I have to pay attorney's fees is one of the lyrics in this song.
Oh no.
That's what I mean. This is very specific.
Buddy.
This is so
I'm
specific.
so sorry, Marvin. I'm so sorry.
Now I talked. So yeah, right. This is the one with the that weird keyboard intro thing.
It's rushed.
It's not in time. It's over a nice groove. It feels like we're getting towards some music for a minute, but at 7 minutes and 47 seconds long.
So Don, I'm going to ride on a positive thought, which was it's the first time in the album we're acknowledging the time period too. It sounds slightly more modern, which is cool. He's getting into it, but no, I agree with you. This is a laundry list of grievances.
It is. And I've talked a little bit about there are musicians playing music and solos happening on this song, on this album that he just sings over. There's like full on solos happening, and that happens on this one. But there actually is a sax solo that he does not sing over in this song. Then there's this weird like Moog blast followed by like this Casio keyboard solo. Like it's like 3 notes of Moog. I'm like, we're gonna get like a Moog thing going on, and then he's like, nope, I'm gonna get away from this awesome instrument and play my Casio. And it's probably not actually a Casio, but that's what it sounds like.
It's like he watched the Montreux Miles Davis concert and then got inspired and came in and tried to like write his own Marvin Gaye song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he leaned into a bunch of this kind of, for me, this is a turning point on the album, which was much needed. The content hasn't changed, ladies and gentlemen, but the sound has a little bit. Yeah. However, one thing that is unforgivable across the board to me is it's just like they like compressed the band in the background. There's no dynamic, no spirit, no feeling of connection between him and the people who are playing for him is the way I'm going to phrase it.
Yeah, and with a lot of these albums, I like to sit down at the keyboard and figure some things out. And harmonically in some of these songs, there's some nice chord changes in some of these songs, and there's some nice harmonies that happen in some of these songs. But I can't pay attention to the song enough to care to dig in.
It doesn't feel musical, right?
Right. There's music happening that maybe if the singing wasn't happening, like, oh, that's a cool backing track. And then, or it's like every idea he had, and it's not like they're bad ideas, but it's like every idea he had, he just gets to express.
Yep. And it took away from making a cohesive statement.
Right. Because it's, when you hear the individual parts, there's talent. It's not like it's a bunch of like slouches. Did you notice though, there's like this fast, like tremolo, like guitar thing like that happens?
Dude, there are so many guitar effects on this album. I can barely count. I could fill my Line 6 processor with them. Like, I don't know that I could like point this one out specifically. What did it do for you?
Well, it's like, if this wasn't recorded in 78, I would have thought it was a sample. Because it's very consistently played, and it's the same, like this thing that happens at sporadic intervals more towards the end of the song. And I'm like, God, like it was like the inspiration for sampling, I guess, because there's this thing, it's buried back in there, but because there's no real dynamic, anything that's jangly sticks out.
Yeah,
and it's sort of a jangly thing. It's not a bad lick. It's just that.
Question: is this a sampling DJ's heaven or nightmare?
Nightmare.
Okay.
Because it's not mixed enough to extract any of the goodness.
Yeah, but I feel like as like a hip hop sampling DJ, like there's something about like a very flat 70s sounding mundane mix too that you can get away with that feels very good.
Yeah, like maybe
I'll drop it into my MK2 later and like see if I can create a beat off of some of this stuff, because it would be. I feel like there's opportunities here.
Yeah, I would like the hook.
Actually, don't do that. The Gaye family will sue the snot out of you.
Right.
We've learned that Marvin Gaye's, and it's attached to him, you're getting sued.
Yeah. I mean, When Did You Stop Loving Me, like that hook is catchy enough. So if you put that, you can mix that in with something and get something.
Totally.
Because it's a nice hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Song 6, Everybody Needs Love.
They do, including the flowers, the bluebirds, the babies, and all God's children.
All God's children.
They need
Jesus.
Love. They all need love.
This is a Motown-y tune.
Yeah, this is one of the ones. There are 3 songs in this album that were co-written by Ed Townsend, who was also the co-writer on Let's Get It On. Arguably
one of his top known tracks of all time.
Yeah. Which funny enough, after listening to this, I ended up listening to other Marvin Gaye because I need to cleanse my palate and remember like why he's amazing.
Yes.
Let's Get It On is a long song.
It's not short.
Yeah,
Man, he sings the snot out of that.
He sure does. I mean, it's probably long enough for most people to have sex too, so it's appropriately,
twice.
Yeah. But I never thought about how long that song is after like enduring some of these like 6, 7, 8 minute songs on this album. Because it doesn't, even though it's a long song, Let's Get It On is a long song, it's such a piece of heaven that it doesn't feel,
No.
Yeah.
The duration does not matter when you're into it. And there's an example of a song where he's actually...
We're talking about music still, right?
Still, we're still in music.
Yeah.
There's but he's singing with his band in that song. It's evident that he's in a mental place where he's ready to be a performer again.
Did you peck out this nightmare drum beat that's going on in this thing?
What is that, dude? I had a note to say, talk to Jan about drum beat.
Yeah. So I feel like the drummer learned like how to splash his hi-hat in the downbeats with the 16th note, like kick drum thing. It doesn't fit the song at all.
At all. It's aggressive.
Yeah. It's not a bad groove. It's just not for this song. It's for some other song.
No, it's like the original blast beat. Okay. Anything else there?
No, there's another trumpet solo he talks and sings over.
Time to get it together.
It is.
Now, song number 7.
This is the last song on side 2, so we still have 2 sides left of this album.
Yeah, but I will say, if you were to look at this in quarters, right, like a football game.
Yep.
Second quarter went better than the first. The first was brutal. And though it's not a slam dunk, I do think this is my favorite tune on the A side.
Yeah, there's a solid, like groovy foundation to this. And some nice like vocal stabs that come out of it.
It feels constructed for the listener, not for Marvin's diary.
Yeah.
It's finally like he got tired. You know what happened here? I have a theory. He was like, I'm going to finish the first side, right? And he ran out of self-pity for just a second and remembered all of the great pop music he had written in the past and just threw one out there to fill it up. I'm not saying the lyrical content is great. I'm saying the presentation sounds more musical than some of the stuff we've heard up until now.
Yeah, because I've been racing against time, trying the best to find my way, changing our world in just one day, blowing coke up my nose.
I mean,
those are some of the thoughts.
He's acknowledging.
Yeah.
He's acknowledging his errors.
Now, the verse doesn't really start till about a minute 30 into this song. It's a little meandering to get started, but then it feels like a song.
It feels like a song.
Yeah.
It feels like a Marvin Gaye song. It feels like I'm not going to pour dirt on the name, but like has elements of like a Curtis Mayfield thing going on. Like finally you feel like you have a Marvin Gaye that is the one that we're familiar with. Right. Just a little.
It's time to get it together.
Literally.
Right.
And so, I mean, is he brilliant?
No. No, but 7 songs in, we're doing this.
We lucked out. It was about to happen. It was bound to happen.
So I think this is... So here's another change in the song, right? So one weird thing, and then there's a quote I want to read, if you don't mind. So this is another one where there's a bunch of stuff happening in the background, though, that comes back.
Every song.
Right? There's like some vamping with a saw synth solo and sax licks happening simultaneously. It's all in the background. Like
I do love that though.
Playing.
Like synth sax is a combination I can get behind any day of the week. They match.
Right, but they're soloing simultaneously like the Saints Go Marching In. It's not, it's not that,
You mean we're not double fisting Jamesons walking down Bourbon Street?
And then here's the one weird thing, and I'll get to this quote here that I think is interesting. So there's a change. There's like a breakdown in this song for a minute, which is introduced by one loud sax note. It's like bop,
bop, yeah,
and then there's a breakdown happens. But I don't know what happened there. I mean, but
interesting arrangement idea.
Yeah, can you just play a loud note and we'll break down?
By far, not the most offensive thing on this entire album.
No. So here's the quote. So this is a quote from J.K.
From Jamiroquai.
From Jamiroquai. This is about the album in general, but since we're halfway through, let's just go through this. He's talking about the album in general. It doesn't quite get you the first time.
Okay.
And a lot of the songs are quite similarly paced. It's almost like the same song being subtly changed 10 different ways. A lot of it lyrically is about the breakup of his relationship, as we talked about. There's a track called Anger, which is lyrically really brilliant. Okay. There's a track called Time to Get It Together. That's why I thought we put it in here. And I think a marimba is on there, and it's dreamy and lovely. He was a deep man at the time, but I think the Charlie was eating him up.
The Charlie.
The Charlie.
I mean, take it from the UK guys. If the Charlie isn't some sort of powdered substance you stick into your body, maybe it's the name of a train that hits you and runs up your butt. I have no idea.
So that's JK being cornered into saying something nice about this album.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Jay, he's a lovely man and has wonderful credits of his own.
Absolutely.
And I mean, cheers to him for giving it a listen and trying to say things.
Yep.
He was able to name 2 of the songs. I couldn't have named 2 of the songs. I couldn't tell you that this was his album on Tidal alone up until now. So,
right.
You know, the things you learn.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Moving on. Song number 8, The Ocho. Sparrow. Key of A minor, my favorite.
It's not the saddest of all keys, though.
No, it's not.
No.
No, I just think it's a beautiful key. It's same.
It is.
Same key as last song, C major.
Yeah. A minor is nice because of where it sits in most people's register.
Sure. Or if you're a guitar player, very comfy. 5th position on the fretboard.
Yep.
All white keys on the piano.
Yeah. This is more religious stuff. And he calls to the sparrow to sing his beautiful song and let him make sure that things are all right, even when they aren't.
I want to be happy. I can't be happy. You know, like he's calling, it's a prayer, I guess, in a way. And I think you're right to talk about the spiritual, like, kind of nature of this song. I think that this song, if produced slightly different, and by the way, produced, I'm not talking about just the sonic space, but like if a producer sat down and like worked his presentation out with him a little bit more, I don't think he was open to those ideas, frankly. I think 15 albums in, he was calling the shots, right?
Yeah.
And that's why this album turned out the way it did. I think if there was somebody in the room that he respected who could help, who could have coached him, totally speculative.
Yeah.
You'd have actually a song standalone that would be really beautiful.
Yeah. Like if I were producing, I would say, hey, this insane raging saxophone solo that you're just casually singing over. Like there's a baller solo happening, buried way in the not way in the background. It's happening while he's just sort of singing like Sparrow. Like
just shut up.
Right.
Just shut up for a second, bro.
Let that happen.
Sinatra could do it.
Yeah.
Here's 3 martinis. Pound these. Let the sax guy play. Catch us in the chorus.
Yep. So yeah, and he's doing that, and he's singing like a lot of flat sevens about sparrows while that's happening.
It's jazzy. It's got the soul it needs to have.
Yeah, there are ingredients that could be there, but
yeah, missed the mark.
Yep.
I like when I can see the bones though, and you're like, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question for you.
Please.
What do you think Anna's song is about?
Oh, I don't know. And I need a 13th donut in this dozen. Jesus, back to Anna.
This is Frankie Teardrop.
It is. Oh. You, the audience, forgive me. I just hit the mic. I'm going to take a sip of my drink while Dan just menacingly stares at me. What episode was that?
I that's another one I wish never happened.
It's to this day, so we're only 8 episodes into this 500 albums, and we admit we're probably trudging through the.
That was number 3.
If you haven't listened to our podcast on the album Suicide by the band Suicide, not to throw trigger words out there, very sorry, but there's no other way I can project it on microphone.
Yep.
There's a song called Frankie Teardrop. Okay, I would love to hear a synopsis on how so. I can hear it now that you say it, but let the listener in on our secret.
I mean, so to be clear, I'm going to say this is 1,000,000 times better than that song.
Oh, everything is.
Yeah.
Everything is.
Yes.
You think we're being brutal right now, guys?
I don't know. It's just now this isn't an ugly song, right? This is Anna's song. I'm making love all night long. Take a bath in milk. I lay in her satin sheets. Like, but sonically, I just found this
It's jarring.
Yeah. Because he keeps saying, this is Anna's song. This is Anna's song. This is Anna's song. Like, hey, Frankie. No, Frankie.
Hey, Frankie.
Oh, my God, Frankie.
Yeah.
Don't shoot your baby. Like, all the stuff that goes on in that
Mess.
Yeah. There's so many triggers I'm about to say about that song. But, so yeah, I don't know why this brought that, because there's far more musicality. And
This
everything
song to me sounds like Obsession. And by the way, the backing track, the physical song does not match the lyrics at all.
No.
This is like singing Taylor Swift over like a 5-finger death punch. Like it's just this is not a good tune.
Yeah. Keep on loving me, baby. Love me across the hall. She can't do no wrong because this is Anna's song.
You are my wife, my destiny. Can't you see how much you've hurt me? Like,
yeah.
Like it's just not good lyrics. Obsessive, controlling, one might say delusional. I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm interpreting it.
Yeah.
If you disagree with Dan and I, you can easily hit us up on the Gmail at backwardsbeats@gmail.com, right?
Backwards Beats Podcast.
See, this is why I don't do the media slide.
Yep.
What's our Insta?
Backwards Beats Podcast.
Good.
We're trying to mix it up, Backwards
Flame
Beats
us there.
Podcast and Backwards Beats Podcast.
All right, let's get out of this hellhole. 10.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. We've heard this one before.
Can I start with one thing?
Sure.
What the fuck?
Now I have to click the button on the podcast that puts the explicit on it. Well,
This is
balls.
When did you stop loving me? When did I stop loving you? Instrumental. He sings the entire fucking song.
It's not an instrumental.
It's like he's just singing the hook over and over again and some oohs and ahs. Well, it's essentially an 8-minute. How long is this song?
Hold on, it fell off my screen. It is 6 minutes.
6 minutes. 6 minutes of the basically the hook groove of the original song with like a sax solo and a bunch of other stuff going on.
It is so pompous. Like it is so arrogant to think this is worthy of that. Like, did his record exec say you need a 70+ minute album in order to get X amount of dollars so you can pay her off? Because if so, then I get this song.
Right. But why would you call it instrumental when he sings pretty much the entire song?
Yeah. Also, we already have this song.
Yeah.
Next.
Which is also 6 minutes long.
Oh, God.
Let's get long.
Oh, man. Let's do it. All right. So here we are. A funky space reincarnation.
Side 4. We're in the back stretch.
We're in the back end.
We are.
My favorite song on the album.
Yeah. I mean, song about banging.
Truth. And
drugs.
well, yeah. I mean, I think where he was, those went hand in hand. Actually funky.
Yeah.
Actually spacey. We know this because Dan and I co-wrote a fantastic song called Boogie Through Outer Space. So if anybody knows anything about funk and space, it's us. Trust me.
Yeah. But ours had an all skate in it. So let's be clear.
Absolutely. Ours really humps the disco vibe, frankly.
Yeah.
Which this does not touch.
And that might be a 4-minute song.
Oh, yeah. We get more done in 4 minutes than he gets done in this entire album. Oh, skate. Anyway, seriously speaking here, you got a song over some cool like G minor 7 stuff going on. It's fun, it's funky, it's upbeat. However, it's not really cohesive with his messaging throughout the album. Let's go to another planet, get funky with me. You know what happened here? In scene 4 of his album and trying to pay off his alimony, he just got bored and did a huge binge on drugs and went in the studio and finally decided it's time for me to sing something fun.
Oh, I feel like he had his rebound sex.
Oh, that would be
that's what this
really
song is.
Good push.
I think that's what this is, his rebound sex.
He's moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think this is.
I mean,
magnets make your love rise, baby.
Yeah, let's say the magnet line is the best.
Yeah.
Oh, you can leave.
Why do I feel like I've been with you before?
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. that was the vibe I was getting, is like, all right, done with this crap. I'm going out. I'm going to get some Strange. I mean, this could be to his wife too. I don't really know.
No. So if it's to his wife, it's not. This wasn't their sex.
No,
This
is Star Wars interplanetary funk.
Indeed, but furthermore, it's either prostitution or it's a veiled threat, like trying to posture. Because the line he likes to hit is that if you leave, it's going to cost you.
Right.
Right. He says it. I have it written here. Hold on. It's Yeah. If no, that's the next one. Is if you leave. This is Let's Go to Another Planet. This gay funk with me. That next one is the veiled threat. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think this is rebound sex.
Yes, or at least a good night out.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Yep.
Well, we're happy for you, Marvin.
Yeah, you needed some. Come on, baby. Let's go peace loving and check out this new smoke. No, I got this. It ain't classified as dope. Smoke I got is from Venus. Had it all week. It's getting old.
Oh man. It just
you don't want to smoke skunk, you know?
Yeah, but say it just okay. He wrote a party song.
Yep.
It's a dig. That's what it is. It's I can still have a good time. Just way too late in the album to make an effect if you're banking on her listening to it.
But I mean, it's an 8-minute song, probably 5 minutes too long.
Oh yeah.
But but it has some like there's some stuff like this feels like something. These last 4 songs, well, these last 3 songs, I feel like Marvin Gaye is showing up.
That's right. If he EP'd this, not that you know how to, you could take the back half of the album, maybe grab Sparrow, slap it in the middle with a better production, maybe grab Anger and take away some of the growls and have a pretty sick 6-song EP.
Yeah.
And then take all the weighted talk about making it, your wife's alimony payment out of it.
Yep.
You'd be onto something here.
Yeah. Next.
All right. Now, this is the one I accidentally quoted earlier, but it's stuck in my head hard enough. It's literally called You Can Leave, but It's Gonna Cost You.
It is. And actually, the hook in this is fantastic.
Yeah. It like musically speaking, the chant is good.
Yeah.
Agreed with you. I mean, once again, in the fine key of A minor.
Yep.
And you have a song here that is of the, I think he has like 3 like post-court rage songs.
Yeah.
This is definitely the best of them.
Yeah.
Like Trump sees like something he doesn't like and then like rage tweets.
Yeah.
So these are rage court post songs.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out the frame of reference on this one is because the line is some say you can leave, but it's going to cost you. Is he saying it to her or are people saying it to him?
It could be either way.
Yeah, I'm not sure which way that goes.
I mean, you're both in a relationship, right? And there's some brilliance here to talk about because he's stating an actual fact. And then also, though we know that the record heavily was created because of monetary needs, cost has so many implications.
Correct.
Right? So
that divorce cost him not just financially.
Well, also like maybe part of his media play on this album was like, I'm going to put it out there that I'm doing this to pay off this shit and like bring our stuff into public light. Like I'm Marvin Gaye. I'll recover. You have to now be my ex-wife. It's going to cost your image, right?
Yeah.
He's a little nasty.
He is. But maybe that could also be a reason why she was considering suing him.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of dirty laundry in this.
No doubt. And we weren't there for it. We don't know, but we can just speculate.
Yeah.
Which we're more than happy to do.
Yeah. I've been mad at people before and had people mad at me. So.
Yep. This just sounds like that kind of threat that you say out loud and makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think this is him kind of like checking his armor.
Yeah. You mentioned Curtis Mayfield before, and I feel like there's elements of that in this.
It's the repetition.
Yeah.
It's the repetition.
Yeah.
Because Curtis Mayfield, if there's one thing that his tracks for me did, and it's not just like things like Push a Man or whatever, or Move On Up doesn't really have it. If you look, I'm looking at like his like accolades,
right?
But if you look at Curtis Mayfield's tunes, he loved to have a verse, air it out,
Right.
re-enter, and there's this patience and this repetitive groove, and it feels so mature. And this song channels a little bit of that for me.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
good, because like Marvin Gaye's a god. He really is.
Yep.
Hard Time right here, not our favorite album. However, like the guy deserves to have some good tunage.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
That's it. You summed it up. Like,
Yeah. No, the back half of this album is like where I really dialed in.
which is unfortunate because we don't have a lot to say about it. Because while this is good, these are better
songs than
these are not good Marvin Gaye songs.
No,
they're just the cleanest cockroach.
Look at Live in America, the album that's the number one thing on Spotify that he has. Not a single one of these things is in there.
No.
I mean, I'm saying that without double checking it, but I'm almost positive. Like, this is not his best catalog. Two more. Bear with us.
Really only one.
Huh?
Really only one.
That's right. Well, with that said, we have Falling in Love Again.
You know what makes me happy?
What?
That he is.
Oh, thank God. You
Right?
know, did he tell a story here? Are you and I being too harsh? Did we get to watch the entire circle through the course of this album?
We did, and that's okay. I think Alanis Morissette did it much better with Jagged Little Pill, though.
Agreed. And furthermore, how about it was musical,
Right.
and not the ramblings of a perceived has-been? Because I can imagine. I bet. Look at this. I'm gonna do this live right here because I can. I'm gonna roll back. So his album before this was "I Want You," right? 76. 2 years before that, a lot of "I Want You" all the way around, right?
Well, I Want You has almost 500 million streams.
Yeah, I mean,
The biggest thing on the album we're talking about right now has 8 million.
8 million. But outside of that, not a ton of, pop hits here. I know 2 of these songs outside of "I Want You," right? So like "Soon I'll Be Loving You Again." I know that. And then "Come Live With Me, My Angel."
Yeah.
And so, and then if you go before that, not to just like dig you guys in too far, you have the "Let's Get It On" in 73, where the title track obviously at 316 million.
Yeah.
And "Let's Get It On" Spotify. After that, the only tune on there worth note is probably "Distant Lover," which
That's a good song.
fantastic song. But it's not like he was balling out and hitting 4 jams an album at this point.
No, to be fair to any artist, like he started in 1961.
Totally. No,
we're well over
most
a
of my
decade.
favorite artists exist for about 3 or 4 albums I'll listen to in their catalog. Like 311 just came out with a new album. Like a month ago, I haven't even listened to. I went on their cruise. I went to 311 Day at the MGM. I've memorized. I'm in a tribute band for them. Their first 5 or 8 albums.
Right.
But even my favorite thing at some point has a fall off point. Every band has this.
Yeah, there are plenty of bands who just
Or artists, right?
who either they fall off for losing creativity, they lose their edge, or they're tired.
The thing we found attractive about them, they mature out of as songwriters.
Yeah, they get sick of it or whatever.
It's not our problem. It's not their problem. It's ours,
Yeah, yeah.
With that said, you get to his album here. We're not looking for hits. Right. I'm making this point because at the back half of this album, you have one real song left, and I don't expect a lot from him here. And if this was Rolling Stone's top 10,000 albums,
Sure.
this conversation would be happening. So,
Yep.
with that said, "Falling in Love Again."
Any major notes on it other than it's in a major key?
Love that it's a major E major.
Yeah.
Love that we're ending the album on this note.
Right.
In my mind, it's just like
Not quite, but yes.
Well, that's why I'm saying in my mind.
Yes.
I think it's a healthy way to go. He told us a story. He just didn't do it musically. This was like the journal of a really upset person set to a funk band from 10 years before him.
Yeah.
That he's used to.
And it's not like I have no problems with music that's inaccessible to some people. You know what I mean? Like
I have problems with that.
yeah.
If you're going to publish music, you should be making it for someone's ears besides your own.
Yeah, but there's some jazz artists out there that push some boundaries that I understand why people won't listen to them. They're let's say they're an acquired taste or something.
I totally understand.
So that's what I
notion.
mean by inaccessible. I look at like I talk about this a lot. Like when you're a kid, like not a lot of kids necessarily, generalizing, like olives.
Sure.
Right? Olives are probably yucky. I love olives, by the way, but you have to grow into olives. You have to grow into wine. You grow into coffee.
Of course.
Right? And so I look at like
peppers, sardines,
yeah,
umami things,
yeah, all that stuff, which is like
yeah,
objectively disgusting
until it's not.
Until
you're curious.
And so that's what I mean by music that's inaccessible. I can go there. I won't see myself going here.
This is not inaccessible in that sense, though.
This is a mess.
The assumption about what you spoke about is a maturity.
Yeah.
This is a journal. Nothing more, nothing less.
Right. A tragic one.
Sure. It's an account of poor tales. There's war stories, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he really had a bad time, and he had a platform to do something about it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the approach he took.
Yeah.
Because
he was a mess.
People write messy breakup albums all the time that are really good.
Mm-hmm.
He's just didn't pull it off.
Nah.
All right, with that said, let's check out here. Falling in Love Again. I don't have much to say about the tune. It's a hopeful song about being able to fall in love again. Never thought I'd be the fool.
Well, of course, it's written to his ex-wife. Like, by the way, look what I got.
I know. Well, so that's part of that flex after makeup sex, too.
Yep.
Yeah. We could call the fourth quarter the recovery. He Lamar Jacksoned his way back into a victor.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
With the help of Justin Tucker, a.k.a. his record label.
But he couldn't leave well enough alone and had to ask the question one more time.
One more time. Can we reprise it? When did you stop loving me? When did I stop loving you?
Thankfully,
Reprise.
only 46 seconds long.
Why? Why?
We've already had 13 minutes of this song or whatever it is.
Do you really believe this was God's plan? He asks.
He's tormented.
He is. Marvin, we miss you. We're really sorry this happened to you. And I'm really sorry to ask this question to my friend Dan. Would you hit it? I
would not.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't hit it with a pinata pole. This album does not deserve a place. And I feel fiercely about this more than anything else we've talked about in our mere 8 episodes, even over Suicide.
Mm-hmm.
This album does not deserve a spot on the top 500 list.
It does not. And it breaks my heart to say it, which is why we caveated at the beginning of this episode, right? To say that we have a ton of respect for Marvin Gaye as an artist.
If I wasn't certain that we're going to get what's going on or more of his work on this list, it could be twice, thrice over. We get him again.
Right.
I'm positive it'll be celebrated. I can't wait. I really enjoy listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whose parent grew up and loved this album that someone was giving a head nod to inside of the faculty of decision makers there, guys, but way to miss the mark.
Yeah, there are other lists who also mark this high, again, retroactively mark this high, and I don't know if it's the sympathy for the tragedy that's doing that, because one could say, oh, he was being experimental or what have you, but he didn't stick the landing.
This is horribly bland music.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And
no dynamic.
None. And that's the part that hurt me the most is, you and I begrudgingly, but both kind of, we decided that the Rufus and Shaka Khan is probably a 750 and out of 500,
Right.
And that musicianship and that band blew this out of the water. I use it as a comp, right?
Yeah.
Something that's comparable at this point. This just had no business being in its position.
No, that's too bad.
Sorry to say it. It makes me sad.
It does. That's what this is hard. That's why we've had to drink through this entire episode.
Indeed. Well, if you want to, commiserate with us or argue with us or whatever you want to do, you can catch us once again on our social media. We are at
Backwards Beats Podcast.
Or we would welcome your email and thoughts, hate mail, or whatever the internet version of Ryerson is on our email at
backwardsbeatspodcast@gmail.com.
Next week's album, we're looking forward to reviewing
album 492, which is the album Nick of Time by Bonnie Raitt.
I love Bonnie Raitt.
Me too.
I think I love Bonnie Raitt. I know one Bonnie Raitt song.
She's got some stuff.
All right, I look forward to it. My name is Carl Carter Fansteel.
And I'm Dan Woodard.
We'll catch you next week.
Swole.
That was the show that pissed us off with Rolling Stone, cause Marvin Gaye is legendary and this album is just not him.
Backwards Speeds Podcast is a Tune-A-Wood production recorded live at Thought Shack Studios in Halethorpe, Maryland.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find us at Backwards Speeds Podcast on most platforms.
Share the love, and we'll see you next week for another deep dive into the next album on Rolling Stone Magazine's Top 500 list. Until then, salt your melons.